Okay, folks, now here is a really unusual game. This was my first love industry. When I was a kid, my dream was to run a big department store like Marshall Fields. So before we get into it, it's called the Department Store Acquisition Game, but those of us who play it regularly call it DSAG, DS, Department Store Acquisition Game. What this is a kind of a map of the United States. I mean, Boston is up here, Miami's down here, San Diego, LA, Seattle, the middle of the country. And these are the 125 largest individual city department stores in the United States in about 1980. And on each of these little hexagons, you've seen other games played with hexagons, but they're all unique. And this one is packed. There's the name of a store, Ayres, Ayres, Indianapolis. Now, that's a store. Ellis Ayres was the classiest store in Indianapolis, big department store. It was the biggest store. It was the biggest store in the state of Indiana. And I grew up like 40 miles from there. And my dream as a kid was to run it someday. And I went down on the bus by myself when my mom said I was old enough to ride the bus, hour ride to Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis by myself, and asked to see the guy that ran the store and everything. Anyhow, so that's where my mom would drag all of us kids through department stores. She bought fabrics to make clothes for my sister and all that kind of jazz. Anyway, and so we have here Alice Ayres, Indianapolis, and there's a number down there, 180. Well, that was its sales per year back around 1980, $180 million a year. All basically all these figures on here are accurate, actual figures. Now, some of them are exact because I work for the companies, two different companies that owned a lot of these, and I was involved in analyzing the competition. So actually saw the actual internal data. So a lot of them are really exact. The others are really good estimates by the industry experts, the people that made a magazine newspaper called Women's Wear Daily. And people would feed them the numbers to help them, understand the industry, kind of confidentially. And I did that too. It's like you talk to them on the phone, and they'd say, "Oh, we got down $80 million," or say LSR. So we got down 165 million. And if you work for a company that owned it, you say, "Well, your hair low." Or raise a hair, whatever, because we use their data, and I want to stay friendly with them. And if they knew stuff they didn't write up in the paper, I wanted to hear that too. Anyhow, so and fascinating industry. These guys, they owned these cities. They were the big operation in each of the cities they were in, but they had competition. So you'll see there's more than one in most of these cities. Um, they were owned by big, like, holding company groups, um, and that's what I was part of. So anyway, this is the 125 biggest ones back then in the United States. I might be off on the number 123 and 122, and there were smaller stores. I had no idea what their sales were and stuff, but I can show you all the big ones, the top ones are readily are on the game. And so the map, what happens is there's so many big stores in the New York area. Excuse me. And the East Coast, that the map gets distorted because you see Bamberger's in Newark is all the way here, long way from Macy's, New York, which was actually, from Newark to Manhattan, facing each other almost. So, and then that kind of compresses the West. So St. Louis can end up pretty close to Minneapolis, and out here. So, but it's all based on where the biggest ones were. Now, on this map, we got these hexagons, and we're going to end up buying them and creating like little chains, which is the way the industry worked. They kept their own local names on each store. Once in a while, there'll be somebody use a name like May Company used it in Los Angeles and in Cleveland and in Denver. Dillard's used the same name several places, so that was really unusual. But even the big groups, they kept these local names for a long time. No, most of them all have become Macy's, except for like Dillard's and Nordstrom's and Boscov's down here. So we're going to buy them. So we'll set up the game first. Oh, and Jack and Jill, they're shoppers, and they wander through here as the game goes on. And the players have some control over like what direction they wander in, but they can't send them to the right place. And when they land on a store you own, you get a big cash bonus. So you really want to target them, and you'll have some options. And so if we start it, for the demo, oh, it says here the original rules were first player to hit $1,500 in salary, the game ends and add it up. But I just play an endless game. You can stop it anytime you want and save it and all that. And to make it simple for the demo, I'm just going to have 2 players. The industry, what have I got? I got it set up to allow from 2 to 5. There really were 4 or 5 big national organizations, but then a couple right behind them. Anyway, we're going to do 2. I'm going to give them like original names. The biggest and greatest for the most years was Federated Department Stores. I'll just use Federated. That'll take up less space on the map. And I worked for them. And then I worked even more years for the May Department Stores Company. And we're going to start the game with them. They have red and blue colors for us, so fine. So first of all, the turns come up. I can move this around. And the first thing is I have $500 in cash. And I'm allowed to buy 3 stores. In the future, I'll only be allowed to buy 2 at a time, per year. And when you buy 3 stores, if they're all connected to each other, it's a cluster. It's like you're organizing a regional group of department stores. And that was something that did happen sometimes in the industry. And I've only got 500 to spend, so I can't, buy like a $470 one. And I can always look at the list. Let's see, rules. Okay, here's your basic rules. But down here is a list of all of them in order of their size, because buying bigger ones is great. Macy's and New York, and we only got $500, so we can't even touch most of these. And you want to buy 3. If you can, you could buy 2 and wait a turn, save up money because you'll get a little more income. Well, maybe not, 0 salary. But it's best to go ahead and get 3. And one of them will get marked as your headquarters. The smallest one will get marked as your headquarters. So it'd be a good idea to have a large, smallest one. Well, it happens that I can buy, and I can click on one. That means I'm buying it. It'll change to my color, okay? Red for Federated. I can click on it again if I decide I don't want to buy it. And when I click on it, my cash will go down. I spent 100 because you got to spend the amount of the sales of the company to buy it. So I got 160 for it and 150 for this. So now I have a cluster, and it's put my headquarters in the small. In the biggest of the 3. Okay. It's there. I've got 40 left. There's no store that's less than 40. The 60s are the lowest ones. So I can't buy anymore. And I bought 3 out of 3. Here's my limit. So the next thing is I can pick whether I want to move Jack or Jill, the 2 shoppers, and then which direction. So from any hex, you can go northwest, and if it hits a wall, it just bounces back and comes back like that, okay? You can send her northeast, go like that. Jack, the same way, northeast, northwest. You can send them northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, straight east, and straight west. So it's really kind of limited, Then there's also, I haven't even tried this yet, there's a random where I can make it jump somewhere way else on the map. And since right now, no matter how I move it, I can't make it run into one of my pink stores, one of the red ones, I'm going to try that random thing. Here's an experiment. Boom. Oh, I moved Jack, not Jill, because you have to pick which one. And I put poor Jack over here on the edge of the ocean in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay. And Jill's still here. So anyway, now it goes to the next turn. And I always look at a map of just my stores, right? For some reason, I want to look at that. And now I want to look, where's a good place where I can, for 500, put together a nice group. Boo, 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 boo. This isn't bad. 1, 2, 3. And if Jack moves northwest, he'll miss me. If Jill moves west, I have a shot at it. Pick Jill, move west. Boom. Now I got to move this out of the way. I need to, all these can be tweaked, you know. Let's see where she landed. Landed way over there. Completely missed me. I was shooting to go like that, right? And it can go anywhere from 1 to 10 moves. Anyway, so that's everybody's had a turn. Federated will come up next. And it has a little newspaper, year one. Biggest deal was Federated buying Gimbals for $160 million, but they bought 3 stores, and okay, now it has a new cluster and where its headquarters is. Because when Jack and Jill land on space, you get the sales of that store. If it's your headquarters store, you get double. And May acquired stuff anyway. And then I can always look at rankings and everything. Lots of reports, just 2 of us, how much cash, what our salary is. And the salary is based on your headquarters store. Okay, now when you buy enough extra stores in a cluster, the headquarters moves to the highest revenue store in the bigger cluster. That comes later. Anyway, and who owns what? And here's a cash chart and everything. Anyway, you can always look at results. You can look back in the newspaper. So Federated right now. Now, the thing is, when you get to a size cluster of 5, well, then you're getting pretty powerful. And, you know, you have clout in the market. And they have to all be adjacent. You can always pick one anywhere on the board, you know, and not be adjacent. But it's better to build up clusters and then build another cluster and then build another cluster. And the ideal cluster is 7. Get to 7 and you're pretty well set. But anyway, so if I get 4 stores, and see, I can buy 3 stores. Now, okay, this is an antitrust kicked in. It says here. So what that is normally you just get to buy 2 stores every turn. And that's still going to be true of the other players. We can look at the rankings, but whoever has the least cash, though, the government says, oh, the big powerful guys are getting too powerful. And since I couldn't figure out a way to like really limit them gracefully, I gave an advantage to the poor guy. So Federated, unlike, and the way you can double check is it's based on their cash, and you can see, and whoever has the lowest cash gets that advantage. And I got 40 against 80 there at that point. But then I've made my income, so see, I've got more money back in. But in any case, so that's why I can buy 3. But the thing is, when I buy 1, that'll give me 4. Then the next one I buy will give me 5. And the 5th one I buy, I get a 200 discount. So in other words, you know, like if I buy, and I've only got 190. So the only thing I can buy the first time that's adjacent to what I got here is the lowest price one, which is spend less. What'll happen? So that's my 4th one. So then for my 5th one, these rings light up with these new black numbers on them. And what that is on the 5th one, you get a $200 discount. And you know, like the biggest stores in this game are like $400 to $700, but a lot of them are $200 and $300. And so this is the net price after the $200 discount. And I got 90 to spend. And what that means is, see, this is a $150 store. So $200 discount, I basically get it free. I don't get the extra $50 cash. I get it free. I get it free. You know, I'm sorry, the ones that are, they've got to be, those are the ones that are down. The ones that are lit up in blue around the edges. They're the next adjacent ones. So see, I get this one for free. Here's one I can get $100 one and get it for free, but you know, and then here, anything up to 200 will show a 0. Now the thing is, here it's a 290 store, so it would take 90 to buy it. Well, 90 is what I got. I can't afford this one. I can afford this one, which will put me closer to this one, which I'd love to have someday. And what else are there closer to? Because your 7th one is important too. Anyway, thing is, I want to buy either one of these 90s, especially if it's closer to some of the bigger revenue stores, and use up my cash. But then I get the discount, and I can buy 3 stores because I got that, and I trust thing helped me out. And now if I just buy 1, I don't have any money left, so I can't buy 1. And all these games can use tweaking, but I think this one's far enough along to play okay. Oh, you can go into debt. I forget, I added that too. So yes, I could borrow money, but in my test playing of it so far, it just puts you deeper in the hole. It lowers your cash. It enables you to keep this advantage, because you're going to be the brokest. But you can go as much into debt as you want. I'm going to put a limit on it. I'm not going to do that. But where are Jack and Jill? Jill should head straight east into my stores. Jack's down there. Can't do any good. Okay, Jill, let's go straight east. Bang. Oh, okay. So Jill landed on a May Company store. Gimbel's of Pittsburgh. They do 140 million a year. So the May just got 280 in cash. So that's nice. That's nice. This is total sales of all the stores you own. This is your salary, which goes up with new headquarters and stuff. We own 3 stores. Oh, so we're in the same position. We want to open 4 and 5, but we can only open 2 because we aren't the poorest guy. So first one we open will be 3, and then we can get 4. And I got to kind of look around a little bit because right now we're building a cluster in this area. I'd like to get one where I have enough to buy a really big one with the $200 discount I'm going to get on my 5th one. This is a nice one. Let's see if I spent the $320 on, I got 30 left, and then, I could buy anything else up to $230. Better to get the discount on this big one. Use very little cash for number 4. Any other thing look real good here? Well, anytime you head towards New York, that can be pretty good. But so if I make this number 4, it'll cost me, and you can go ahead and click on it. See how cash comes down to $230, which would leave me enough to buy Lazarus over here, which is a nice store to own. Wouldn't leave me enough to buy Bamberger's in Newark. It's a giant store. But I wouldn't have enough money anyway for that, no matter what I did. So I'm going to buy this one. And that gives me a cluster of 5. And it moves the headquarters here to the, oh no, what's that? Yeah, yep, move my headquarters to Lazarus. Which is funny because that was where the Federated family that ran Federated came from. That was their name, the Lazarus family. So we've got all these wonderful stores. We can look up what we own. We can look back in the newspaper. We can save the game. We can bring up, individual maps to show us our individual things. So we're just going to go on, though, to Jill is already in my turf. Jack, sometimes I lose. Oh, Jack's way down there. I am going to have Jill go east to hope she bounces against the sea and comes back to me. Bang. Where'd she go? Oh, she just either got there. Yeah, just got there. If somebody had owned Macy's, that's the biggest one in the game, or one of the giants, like 700 million. And you would have gotten $1,400,000,000. Anyway, here's the newspaper. May buys FNR Lazarus for 120, adds 2 stores, where's the headquarters and all that. I'm going to skip the rankings, just play on, get to around clusters of 7. So Federated comes up first, and actually, if you forget the order, everybody's supposed to play in the buttons as they line up. Even with 5 players, will be in order here. Who went first, who went second, and there'll be more buttons for the other people to see their maps if they want. So anyway, Federated now in pink has got 5. So see, it can buy 3. It still has this disadvantage bonus. And the reality is in a 2-player game, getting that disadvantage bonus, one player's going to have it. Was going to have it all the time. It was really developed when we played this as a board game and have 6 players, and some poor sucker would be lost in the dust, and I feel sorry for him, or her. But it's a heck of a feature when you're playing too. So now, but I've only got 100 cash. But see, I'll get on the 7th one, I get a $500 discount. And see, that means I can afford Marshall Field, which is a 470. So if I can buy a store for $100 adjacent to me anywhere, as long as it touches this cluster, like Brandeis and Omaha, I can then buy Marshall Field for $0 because it's only 470 and I got a 500 discount. That's a coup. That's a coup. Because Marshall Field was the store I really wanted to run sooner or later. That was the most wonderful place in its glory days. And now, where are we going to send Jack and Jill? We're federated. We don't really want to send them to the May stores. And we're way up there. And kind of all you can hope. Well, see, if I send it northwest, the odds are going to bounce back because it's going to be 1 to 10 moves. You know what? I can try to get Jill off of that road so the old May company doesn't. So I can just take Jill, right? Jill is flashing and Jack isn't, for what's that's worth. And we go random. Boom. And now I'm going second. And Jill ended way out here in the desert. Josky's Houston, not quite the desert, more like the swamp. And now I want to go to 7 stores, but I got to think carefully because the 7th one I get a $500 discount. And so see right there is one, it's 460. You know, that's good. I'm not going to beat that. So the thing is, how do I spend the least? Might as well spend the least just to get to that point, get the cluster. I mean, I could buy a more expensive one. I could buy Ayers that I always wanted to own, and the May Company ultimately did own. That would still leave me like $50, and I'm going to be able to get Alexander's for free. Or this would be 180. Yeah, and see, I'd need a $50 store to buy that, and there ain't no $50 stores. And I pick up the giant Alexander's, another coup. Alexander's was really like a giant discount store in New York City, a big, huge store in Queens. It's like when I moved there in 73, it was like the ugliest people I've ever seen in a big store. Okay. But now I own it. So I got back at him. And now, move Jill on me. I lost Jill. And Jack can't be any help. So let's just have Jill get on a plane, see where she wants to go. Okay. Yeah, buys for 0, annual sales of 470, headline acquisition of the year. Yeah, we know you got a freebie. But Alexander's got it for 0, and that's a big store too. Anyhow, I'll close that. We can always pull up the rankings and see where we're at here. Cash is building up real slowly. We get our salary every time, but we spend it. But our salary's gone up because we moved to headquarters. Annual sales are pretty even. Okay, here's how much money we've gotten from the shopper. I'm pretty sure that's a cumulative number for the total revenue. Yeah, because it's like a game recap. And then if you want to see what everybody owns, here's the 10 most valuable stores that are owned by somebody. They aren't unowned ones. And you can see Federated's headquarters and May's headquarters are Marshall Field and Alexander's, quite a contrast. And then these are other, like the next 2 that each of them own, or the largest ones they own that aren't on this list. Cash, it's too early to say much. There's our sales. Anyhow, that's basically the way the game plays. And, it was set up so that when somebody's salary reaches $1,500, because here's the thing, when you create another cluster, you build them up, well, it has another headquarters, and whatever that headquarters store's number is, you get that as salary. So if you ended up with 4 clusters, you could be getting 4 salaries, like this size, because these salaries are based on your headquarters store, your biggest store. So Federated here, let's double check, make sure the game's working. It says salary of 470. And Federated's headquarters is Marshall Field in Chicago, which is 470. You know, wonder what happens if I click on it now. Shouldn't much of anything happen on it. No, can't buy it. Anyhow, and you can always save the game and come back to it. Save, finish game and start new game. Save, finish, and exit game. Just save game in general. Load game. See the newspaper, current issue, and all previous issues fully archived because we are historians around here. And I mentioned the rules. I think that's it. And you can tell it'll get filled up, and you'll get squeezed in. And I'm pretty sure to add more to a cluster doesn't really give you a lot of benefit. What it does is it allows you to get Jack and Jill to hit on you more. And so I was thinking you could actually make a strategy of like creating a block, like getting a row and a row, and then sending those suckers southwest at every opportunity or something. I don't know. There are a lot of complexities of it that can evolve, and also really the strategy of how you pick five and how you pick seven, how you pick your starter. Jack and Jill add a fair amount of chance to it. And over time, those benefits of some money here from the shopper, those will even out. But for a while, you can run way ahead or way behind in how many of those you collect. And I think that's it. And I'll end my little demonstration.